Today we're going to find out which towers can beat the Crucible challenge here in BTD5 while only using these two altars of power. And if you didn't know, they act the same way as the thrones on the map Overthrown by giving your tower a bit of extra range, along with much more importantly, 5 times higher attack speed. You might also be inclined to think that a small tower like the Dart Monkey could actually fit multiple in one altar, but nope. As soon as you have a single tower placed on it, the altar actually disables the entire thing for anything else to fit. But still, this should be quite easy for basically every tower, right? Well, check this out. Starting out on round 1, our Dart Monkeys are already facing rainbow balloons, which alternate with ceramics on round 2. But to be fair, the altar has turned our triple dart into basically a machine gun, but still. I quickly had to get one down on the other altar as well, since we were actually starting to leak to the ceramic balloons. Of course, I'm also using the Dart Monkey Specialist building, which gives us a 5% discount, and that is actually true of every Specialist building in the game, along with the Dart Monkeys building also giving it a 10% increase to attack speed, a free Dart Monkey to start with and every 10 rounds, and finally, the legendary Explosive Darts, even though their explosions are kinda just going right past all the ceramic balloons. And after 10 rounds of switching between those and rainbows, you get to face camo regrow rainbows on round 11, which then alternate with a single Moab on round 12, and I actually got a Super Monkey fan club up for that. But you'll also notice on round 14, it's now 2 Moabs that you're facing instead, and the amount of regrow rainbows is increasing each round as well, which ultimately culminates in quite a few of them on round 19, along with 5 Moabs on round 20. But the last 5 rounds are where things get really intense, as round 21 throws a BFB your way, and the camo regrow balloons are now ceramics as well. Of course, round 23 gives you 2 BFBs, which got pretty far against our defense despite me using the fan club abilities, but thankfully, the ceramics really couldn't do anything against them, and ultimately, we were also able to take out the 3 final BFBs on round 25, which means that the Dart Monkey is our first successful tower so far. But unfortunately, the Tack shooter doesn't have any way to pop camo balloons without the help of a village, of course, even with its specialist building being enabled, and that's a real shame because this hyperspeed Tack sprayer looks absolutely awesome, and it's also quite powerful as well, along with the Ring of Fire really being insane. So yeah, it's a shame that the Tack shooter has to lose to the first camos on round 11, except that no it doesn't, because as it turns out, the altars of power themselves give any tower placed on them camo detection as well. So instead of losing right here, they kept on pushing forward, with 2 Rings of Fire being just enough to destroy the Moabs in time before anything could leak. Like honestly, I couldn't believe how perfect this was. But I also knew that meant that they would have no chance against the first BFB, and sure enough, we were leaking entire Moabs now. So I tried the run again, and this time, when I got to the first BFB, I sold one of my Rings of Fire in order to get up a Blade Maelstrom, which has an activated ability that shoots a ton of attacks across the whole screen, and thus, I could buy and sell this tower over and over to deal enough damage to the BFB for it to then get popped down in time for a Ring of Fire on the right altar to clean everything up. And going forward, that's what I did for rounds 23 and 25 as well, which ultimately allowed the Tack shooter to prevail here. But there is a little problem with this challenge, which is that you can only complete it once every 4 hours, and if every tower is getting camo detection, we're gonna have a lot of winners. So from now on, what I'll have to do is quit out of the game right when we're about to win at the end of round 25 to make sure that the event doesn't end before I can test every tower out. And as far as the Sniper Monkey goes, I started with the 1-1, and my plan was to upgrade this into a 2-1 sniper as soon as possible, but quickly realized that it couldn't keep up with round 1 on its own, so I had to get another Sniper Monkey on the other altar first. And this was working a lot better for us, which allowed me to focus on upgrading my first sniper into a 2-1 to bring its damage up to a total of 8 per shot, which includes the 1 extra that the sniper is getting from its specialist building being enabled, along with setting the sniper's targeting to strong before getting the deadly precision upgrade to bring that total up to 19 damage and make sure that the ceramics are easy for us to handle. After that, I focused on getting the other sniper upgraded as well, and this was also working really well against the Moabs, which was really great because just before round 20, I was also able to afford the Cripple Moab upgrade, which was then able to stun the first BFB in place and make it quite easy for us to clean up. However, on round 23, some of the balloons ended up getting quite far, and I was a little worried, but I did have enough money to now upgrade my other sniper into a 4-1 tower, and I also switched the targeting to first on the left sniper, which was more than enough to make sure that nothing could escape, allowing the sniper to also beat the Crucible. And you gotta be kidding, I freaking let the game finish again. There's only 23 hours left in this event, and now I gotta wait another 3 before I can play it again. Okay, now it's the next day, and I really can't afford to keep messing up like that. But we've got the Boomerang Monkey going next, so I started off with a 2-2 on the left altar, and got it upgraded into a 2-3 Bionic Boomer ASAP. And with the perks it's getting from its specialist building, not to mention the 5x attack speed from the altar of course, this was allowing our Boomerang Monkey to do quite well against the rainbows and ceramics, and with the tower being so cheap, I was already able to get a second 2-3 Boomerang on the other altar as well. And shortly after that, I had them both upgraded into turbocharges, which gives the Bionic Boomerang an activated ability that will let it shoot even faster. And while we really didn't need to use this against the Moabs, it did start coming in handy once we had to start facing BFBs. And it's also really nice how I never had to waste money on getting a 4-2 Glaive Lord for camo detection either. And sure enough, the two Boomerangs were able to get through the Crucible challenge, and dude, I can't believe I just did it again. Well, at least this time I've only got to wait like 15 minutes, because the way this event works is that it resets every 4 hours, regardless of what time you beat it at. Alright, I really gotta remember to pause at the end of round 25 this time, but now we've got the Ninja Monkey, which I fully believe should dominate this challenge. I mean, look at how powerful it already becomes once it gets the double shot upgrade. We basically have a shuriken machine gun. And not to mention how effective the distraction upgrade is at holding the balloons back as well. And of course, I got the balloon jitsu upgrade as soon as I could, and this was extremely effective, not just against the alternating rainbow and ceramic balloon rounds between 1 and 10, but also it was good enough to keep our other balloon jitsu from even having to do anything to help defend against the Moabs as well. In fact, it barely even had to do any cleanup against the first BFB, which is honestly even more powerful than I was expecting this tower to be. Honestly, I had considered selling our Bloon Jitsu on the right altar to get a Bloon Sabotage in order to use its activated ability to slow down each set of BFBs, but clearly that wasn't necessary at all. And you can see here, I was careful to make sure that we truly can say we had won the round before I actually restarted, which means I can immediately test the bomb tower now. But honestly, I was a bit worried when it seemed to already be struggling against the round 1 rainbows, so I focused on getting up the cluster bomb upgrade once I had a 2-2 bomb tower on my other altar, only for this to end up happening with the zebra balloons passing it right by, which was a reminder I needed that I had forgot to enable the bomb tower specialist building, as this comes with a perk that actually allows it to pop both black and zebra balloons with its regular explosive projectile. And now that I had it turned on, you can see that the cluster bomb is incredibly more effective and now shreds through every layer of balloons just like the rings of fire were before. And I also upgraded the cluster bomb into a balloon impact, which stuns regular balloons in place, and this is absolutely overpowered with the 5x attack speed. But I also realized that with the first Moab about to hit, I should realistically sell this bomb tower and replace it with a Moab Mauler and then get the balloon impact on our other altar. That way of course, the Mauler can first destroy Moabs and soon BFBs, while the balloon impact cleans everything up afterwards. And this worked out perfectly, with me not even having to buy and sell the Moab Assassin to micro its ability against the BFBs. And I also managed to pause this round in time again as well. And I also remembered to switch over to the Ice Monkey Specialist building, although I have to admit, I'm pretty confident this will actually be our first tower to fail. But of course, that won't be to the regular balloons, as the Ice Monkey can now pop white and zebra balloons with its specialist building being enabled, and of course, you can see how effective the 5x attack speed is at stalling the ceramics, along with the Ice Shard being a legendary attack against regular balloons as well. But even with both Ice Monkeys being positioned as far into the corner of their altars as they can in order to cover the most track possible, this tower simply doesn't have a powerful attack to use against Moab class balloons, so despite me using the absolute zero ability to slow the first one down, it simply couldn't be popped in time before escaping. And of course, we all know the glue gunner won't be getting past that first Moab either, but I did want to see how it does against the regular balloons because I knew this part would be interesting. You can see the corrosive glue is just barely fast enough to pop the round 1 rainbows in time, and it cannot even pop the first layer of the ceramics before those escape. But then we got just enough money on round 3 to actually get the Balloon Dissolver upgrade, which deals damage fast enough to actually destroy the ceramics quite fast, allowing this tower to join the Ice Monkey in failing to the first Moab specifically. But of course the Monkey Buccaneer can't even be placed on the altar at all. However, I was quite surprised to learn that the Monkey Ace does fit on here, which I guess I should have known given that it actually does have a corresponding symbol on this stone in the center of the map. But I upgraded the Ace to a 2-1 because honestly I really wanted to see the 5x attack speed pineapples, and let me just say, they absolutely did not disappoint. You can literally see them drawing the exact path that the Ace follows now, which I find really cool. But also, I got the never miss targeting option as soon as I could, which basically ensured that no Bloons were going to be making it very far. And I also built a second ace on the other altar of power, also getting that one upgraded to a 3-1, and these together had no problem getting past all of the Moab and regrow rainbow rounds, and in fact, they even handled the first BFB quite well. I did make sure to upgrade my first monkey ace into a Spectre, and this was more than enough to obliterate everything. And I really am glad that the ace surprised me, because otherwise we would have had quite a disappointing run of towers, as even with the 5% discount the super monkey is getting from its specialist building, we still simply cannot afford to get one at all before losing to ceramics on round 2. But the wizard monkey should have a pretty strong chance here. I started off with a 2-1 lightning wizard, and with its specialist building enabled, this tower is now firing 4 different projectiles at the Bloons. But none of these projectiles are particularly strong, which is why I was still sort of struggling to the ceramic Bloons, and thus I upgraded our wizard to a dragon's breath as soon as I could, which completely turned the tide of the battle in our favor. In fact, this single 2-3 wizard monkey was doing quite well against the Moabs as well, allowing our other dragon's breath to get by without having to do very much work at all. But before we had to face the first BFB, I did want to upgrade both of them to Phoenixes, which gives them the activated ability to, well, spawn a Phoenix, and I was really surprised to see that it also gets 5x attack speed from the Altar of Power as well. And thus, it shouldn't be any surprise that this was more than enough to ensure we could get through round 25. Now, the Monkey Village could attack Bloons if we could afford the Energy Beacon, but of course that isn't happening in a world where we couldn't even afford a 0-0 Super Monkey. And this really should go without saying, but the banana farm is useless for a challenge like this, and beyond that, it's actually the only tower that cannot fit onto the Altar of Power at all. So now we've got the Mortar Monkey, which looks to be incredibly powerful with its 5x attack speed buff, and that makes sense because its specialist building is allowing the Mortar to target the Bloons and also stun them as well. And let me just say, the monkey loading this thing has got to be the hardest worker this battlefield has ever seen. And yeah, needless to say, the alternating ceramics and rainbows didn't stand a chance whatsoever. But I did make sure to upgrade the mortar into a big one before the first Moab came out, which was definitely a good idea given that the first Moab actually made some real progress down the track. So of course, I made sure to get another mortar on the other altar and saved up until I could afford to also have this one be a 4-2 big one, and these two mortars together were enough to get us through the challenge. Now, I knew that Dartling Gunner was going to be an absolute beast, with it already being such a strong tower in the early game, and sure enough, giving it a 5 times higher attack speed turns this thing into a true Gatling gun. This was easily able to tear through the rainbow and ceramic Bloons like nothing, especially as a 2-1 Dartling Gunner with even higher attack speed and extra pierce to boot. And I quickly got up a second one on the other altar, allowing me to simply point the two Dartling Gunners at the entrance of the map to destroy these early rounds. Now, against the first Moab, I did actually have to do something and take a little control of them again, but it wasn't like the Bloons had any real chance of escaping still, and honestly, I didn't even need to do this, but I upgraded both of them into Hydra rocket pods just for the fun of it, and yeah, together, they made absolute light work of the first BFB, which I knew wouldn't be any different with 2 or 3 of them, so that's another tower that has prevailed in the Crucible. And I just gotta say, the Spike Factory is an absolute beast, even more so than the Dartling Gunner, while sitting on the Altar of Power itself. No longer do you need to worry about placing it at the back of the track, as this thing is producing spikes so quickly that the Bloons are barely even getting a chance to get through the first of 2 piles being created by our Spike Factory on the left altar. And getting it upgraded into a Spiked Ball Factory only made things even more broken, with the first Moab being slow enough to have no chance of even making a real dent through all the spiked balls on the track. And I mean, obviously, I knew this tower wasn't going to have any real chance of losing, but I still upgraded it into a Spiked Mine Factory just for the fun of it, and the first BFB is so slow that just like with the first Moab, it wasn't going to be making much more than a small dent through everything. And so, as you'd probably be able to guess, getting through round 25 was absolutely no problem for them either. And next up we have the helicopter, which you can really see becomes insanely powerful with 5 times attack speed on its quad dart upgrade. I did also get pursuit, not because I think it would be better than my own control, but honestly, I just wasn't worried about the Bloons really getting past this thing. And then I got the Razor Rotors upgrade, which might have been a waste of money, but it seemed like the helicopter was spending a lot of time directly on top of the Bloons, and then of course, I got another 3-1 helicopter on the other altar, and just let them do their thing. The Moabs would make a little bit of progress against them, but it was far from anything worth being concerned about. And I wasn't as sure how they would actually be able to fare against the BFBs, but it just so happened that right before round 21, I was able to afford the Apache Dartship upgrade on my left helicopter, turning it into a super powered weapon of war that was more than capable of getting us through the challenge. and this time I let it complete only because I knew the event was about to reset in a few minutes anyways. And I'm just gonna get this out of the way now, but of course, just like with the Buccaneer, the Monkey Submarine cannot be placed on an altar at all, bringing us to the Engineer Monkey. And with this tower, I was conflicted because its sentry upgrade is going to place these turrets outside of the altar itself, so I'm going to see if it's possible to beat the Crucible without that upgrade first, which means I'm restricted to right path upgrades only, and these do give the main engineer a Pierce of 9, along with huge range and a higher attack speed as well, but without its sentry turrets, this tower definitely gets nerfed quite a lot. And even with a 0-3 engineer on each altar of power, it was already getting pretty tough just to catch the ceramics during the early rounds. And while they were able to take out the first Moab, we actually leaked quite a few lives to the second two on round 14, so I got the overclock upgrade as soon as I could afford it and used it on round 16, but this simply wasn't enough. So from what I can tell, the Monkey Engineers cannot beat this alone, but how about with their sentries? You'll notice a pretty big difference already in how well the ceramics are being handled early on, and especially with the Moabs where nothing was getting to escape even on round 20. And the first BFB also went down quite easily, and in fact, it was actually the regrow camo ceramics on round 22 really giving us an issue for once, and that's because our turrets are not getting the same benefit of camo detection that the main engineers are. So what I had to do is start using the overclock abilities I'd gotten on each engineer here, which are able to cool down before even running out thanks to the 30% cooldown reduction I had from my monkey lab, allowing me to stack them multiple times, and this ended up being enough to survive. And oh crap, I just let myself complete the event again, and now there's literally no more chances left. At first I was pretty mad at myself because literally all I had left was the Bloon chipper, until I tried reverting my local save to the cloud save I created 5 days ago, which actually reset the event data and allowed me to continue forward. And I'm honestly not very confident in the Bloon chipper, because as you can see, the attack speed doesn't really seem to actually get affected much since it's not firing a projectile, and the altar isn't allowing them to shred balloons 5 times more quickly or anything like that. And thus, a 3-0 was already leaking to round 1, so I reset the game and tried getting a Bloon chipper on each of the altars, getting them both upgraded as much as I could, which only allowed me to reach round 3. So then I tried focusing on getting the left Bloon chipper upgraded to a 3-1 before getting the second Bloon chipper, which did allow me to barely survive round 3 this time, and then round 4 brought me down to just 15 lives, but I was able to afford the faster shred upgrade on both of my Bloon chippers here, which just barely kept me from leaking anything on round 5. Now, some balloons did escape on round 6, but I saw how effective the faster shred upgrade had been, so I tried upgrading the first Bloon chipper into a 3-2 this time before doing anything else, which allowed me to get through round 3 without losing any lives at all now. And that was definitely a good sign, but there's just one problem, which is that the amount of balloons keeps on increasing round after round, and the only upgrade left was the super wide funnel, which simply allows the chippers to attack Moab class balloons. So I sold one of the chippers I had in order to get a 2-3 triple barrel, but unfortunately, this still wasn't enough to deal with all the balloons that came at us on round 10. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, here's another you might like as well.